Joshua Smith here, and welcome to the GSD Mode podcast. Now get shit done and smash that subscribe button now. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. Every single week, I interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate professionals, and straight up top badasses out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves and their families, as well as have a large impact on others, which is why they agree to take time out of their busy day to come here and share all their brilliance and knowledge with us so we can grow. So today, guys, another rock star, amazing guest on the show. So our guest today, guys, is a team leader in Orlando, Florida. She is also one of the few members on Zillow's advisory board, right? So she gets some insight and has some a voice representing, us realtors and some insight that we just don't get, right? She's the first agent to partner in Florida with Zillow Offers iBuyer program. Also sought after speaker, successful real estate coach, and more. So really stoked to have Veronica Figueroa on the show. Let's show my friend.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm super excited and honored to be a guest. I think I mentioned to you, I'm a huge fan, and I'm just excited to be able to share my story and hopefully inspire someone, because if I could do it, you can do it.
Yeah, no, it truly means a lot. You got so much going on. We were, jamming for a little bit before we hit the record button, and you just continue to, this business is always changing, shifting, and adapting. Right? And as Einstein said, it's not your IQ that defines how intelligent you are. It's a human being's ability to shift, adapt, and change that defines their intelligence. And you're somebody that's, with all the changes that the industry is made and continue to make, you're always shifting and adapting. And I'm really excited to get really deep into that, and so we can all learn from that and grow from that. But before we get into that, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here in the first place. Like if we were on the clocks, like how did this whole real estate gig start in the first place, and what led you to where you are today?
Oh man, I think it's been just a blessing in disguise. I didn't even realize when it was happening, but I have to take it back to when I was growing up. I grew up with a drill sergeant father. My father always made me believe that I can do anything I wanted to. My father was in the military, so my mother would go to every single base that he was stationed and open up a business. And, I'm Puerto Rican. We are small island culture, but my mother had a big, big vision. And everywhere we would go, there was very little diversity. But the little diversity that there was, she would rally the community together. And she'd go to New York or Chicago, or wherever she had to go and buy the products that weren't predominantly in the areas that we were at. And I was working since the age of 9 with my mother. I was working, behind the cash register, cleaning and doing all the things that we needed to do. And she was teaching me early on, how to work and grind and really, really just have this work ethic. So when my friends were playing around in high school, or they were, playing around in school, I was the one saying, I have to go help my mom. I have to, this is the upbringing she gave me. So I give credit to my parents for the work ethics that they taught me. We went through a lot as a family. But I just realizing that, to me, now that I'm older, I realize where it all started with the work ethics that they gave me. And I think I've mentioned this before. I grew up with great parents. They're still amazing. They're still together. And it broke my heart when I was 16 years old that I had to tell them that, the little girl that they had raised to do things right, and that, really had these big, big, hairy, audacious goals, was pregnant. And it was something that at that moment, I broke my parents' hearts. And, my dad had this belief system because of where he grew up. And, our culture was like, that's it. You're going to be a statistic. He didn't say it, but I know that's what his heart was feeling like. I never want to see my daughter, struggling. And that's not the way I raised her. And I remember looking at them, and I made a promise to them. I said, this isn't, the end of the world. I promise you I'm going to continue to be the daughter that you had raised to be. And, I'm honored that you will forgive me and give me a chance to still, become the woman that you taught me to be. And that's where really it all started. I had my son, who to this day, now he's my ISA. He works for us. He's got my personality. Now that I look back 23 years ago, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I met a great guy who helped me raise my son. We had a beautiful daughter together, and, we were just doing life. I went to college. I graduated with both kids on my hip. I refused to just let, what society would consider, a status that wasn't, up to what society would usually consider great, to hold me back. I now had the responsibility of caring for this human being, but I also had a lot of passion and I was very driven. So I went to college. I graduated the same year as everyone in my class did. I went to school, my 2 kids on my hip. I bought my first house at 21 and I just started, again, I just shifted my mindset and said, I can do this. But then life happened again, after 9 years of being with him, I got divorced and, double income was going away. And I had my real estate license from when I graduated from college. But I really didn't want to use it because in my market, I'm in Orlando, so there's a lot of timeshare and timeshare wasn't for me. But what I will say timeshare taught me in the little short stint that I had, that I went to the training and I went on the line and I had to hustle for 90 minutes, is the art of persuasion and the art of the close and the art of listening and storytelling. So I was working in timeshare between my desire to work in human resources, which is also my passion. I have a degree in human resources and I worked in human resources for quite a while. But when I was going through a divorce, human resources wasn't going to pay the bills. It just was wasn't enough. It was, entry level or mid-entry level. And, people don't die in human resources. Like the people who are the director of human resources are there forever. So I just realized at that moment, okay, my kids are now in private school. I've been doing well for myself. My ex-husband and I had a great relationship as friends, but we just knew we were going opposite ways. And I said, what am I going to do to still provide for my kids and all the things that I want to do? And I remember having my real estate license. I dusted off and I said, I'm going to try real estate part-time in residential because I know I don't like timeshare. Man, that was the moment. I did it. I caught myself within 3 months because I was going to every baby shower, every baseball game, everywhere that I can go and that I could talk to people. I was like, hey, listen, I'm in real estate now, help a sister out, my work ethics and I'd love to service you and help me, come to my store and buy my products. So I got really good at prospecting. I got really good at networking. And then I found myself speaking underneath the tables at my job and, trying to manage both the career and this part-time gig. So I thought, and next thing you know, I'm blowing it out the park in real estate. And I called my mom. I said, I'm quitting my full-time job. This was after 3 months. She's like, are you crazy? Newly divorced. You got 2 kids. They're in private school. You got health insurance. You have this. You have that. I said, Mom, I just made $11,000. I was like, imagine if I do this full time, what I'm going to be able to make. And, what's the worst that can happen? And she says, okay, everything you put your mind to, you do it well. This was in 2004. I did it and I never looked back. It was just, the moment that changed my life was the moment I started believing that I could do this no matter what. And if I gave it my all, what was the worst that could happen? I just pivot again. And that's pretty much how I've lived my whole life. And I think that now in real estate, how I've continued to reinvent myself when things seem a little shaky in real estate, I stop, I think, I was like, let's go. What do we need to do? What do we need to do to make this happen? No different than what I did when I was younger, when I got pregnant, when I got a divorce, when when the market crashed. That's how I apply myself in my business today. And I'm proud to say almost after 20 years, 17 years in the business now, I still apply that to my business every single day. You know what? The market crashed. All right, how do we become the best short sale agents? You know what? Short sales aren't selling. How do we become the best REO agent? Where do I gotta go? I gotta go to Austin. Whose door do I need to knock on? How many doors do we need to knock on? Let's go. Let's find somebody. Let's meet somebody. Let's show them where they need us because we're gonna outwork everyone else because we're not afraid to fail. REO's going away. Hey, let's become the #1 agent in our market. Traditional. Let's go. What do we need to do? Oh, what? We don't have systems and resources because technology is dominating. Let me buy a franchise. The #1 franchise in the world, Remax at the time. Let me do that. And this way, oh, you don't want to join my office because I don't have systems? Now you want to join my office because I'm the #1 Remax broker in my market. Let's go. So it's just how I apply myself in everything that I do that has led me today. And I don't take it for granted. I'm blessed. I think God, that's the one. I say God didn't teach me how to sing or dance, but he taught me how to hustle and pivot and build things and see things where most people don't see an opportunity. And that's who I am and that's how I live my life.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it's one of these things where a lot of people will sit there and look at, oh, the market's bad or the market's good, right? I mean, there's no such thing as a bad market. It's always in our ability to identify whom is the market good for right? And then be able to articulate and shift our strategy to whoever it is, like you said, whether it's traditional, short sell, REO hedge funds, now iBuyers. I am curious though. You had your real estate license while you're in HR, but what led you to getting your real estate license? Like, why'd you even have it? Like, how'd that happen?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I just had lunch with the person who convinced me to get my license right before this. His name is Miguel. He's actually one of the agents on my team now. He's been a lifelong friend. And right out of college, he was like, going to real estate school. Because again, we're in the timeshare capital of the world. He was like, hey, timeshare's the next best thing. Oh my God, we're all going to get rich off of timeshare. He was like, you should get your real estate license. And I had just graduated from college. I was still searching for that career job. And he was like, you're so smart. You should take the class with me. He was like, it's only 63 hours. I was like, 63 hours. I was like, I just did 4 years of college with 2 kids on my hip, worked graveyard shift. I was like, I could do this. Let's go. And he didn't pass the class and I did. He never got his license and I did. For about 12 years, he saw my career going and going and going. And I sold him many homes and he referred me many people. And I was his trusted advisor until one day I said, dude, what are you doing? Get your license. I was like, let's go, second chances. And this time around, he got his license. He's been one of my agents for 4 years and is one of my number one agents on my team. And I thank him every day. I said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I'm at because you pushed me to do something that I didn't see what the reason was. But yeah, he's the reason I got my license. Just a friend who said, hey, take the class with me. And, everything I start, I try to take it to completion. So I knew what's the worst that can happen. I can use it to buy my own real estate and sell for myself. So that was the purpose of that in my mind at that time. And he now is someone that continues to change the world with us right by our side.
Yeah, I love it. That's so awesome. So then, to be able to do everything that you've done and to, just as you just spoke with, I don't have the systems, let me buy the number one franchise. And like to make these bold moves that you've made, you have to have a lot of self-confidence, right? A lot of certainty that like you're going to bet on you because you're not going to give up and you're going to win and you're going to have a deep level of certainty that you're going to make it no matter what. Do you think a lot of that came from when you got pregnant at 16 and, facing that of like you talked about your dad thinking that you're going to be a statistic and you chose to not go that route. You chose to still go to college, chose to still make your dreams a reality, plus provide for your family. Do you think being able to like going through that experience prove to yourself that you're capable of everything that's giving you that certainty to not have that doubt?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with it. I grew up, I didn't have the best upbringing. I'll tell you, I grew up in a place where diversity wasn't very welcome. I used to get jumped. I used to, be made fun of. I used to be the girl who would stand up for other people. So I think from a young age, I had a level of confidence, but it was because I was always fighting for, I don't necessarily want to say validation, but I was wired to defend what I believed in. And I just believed that I was destined to do something bigger than just, average, because again, my dad taught me that. But yeah, self-confidence has given me a lot of the formula to my success in my life. I mean, I have gone through very dark eras in my life and I still stand up tall and I'm very short, by the way. And I will stand up in a room and still admit, okay, I learned from that. Like, what's next? It's not going to hold me down. Listen, I've made bad investments too. I bought an ice cream shop. I had no business buying a freaking, can I curse here?
Get done mode.
Ice cream shop. You know how many ice cream scoops you need to do to make one commission check? I was like, that was the stupidest investment. My husband and I were like, oh, well, let's save the local ice cream shop. Stupid investment. We bought, a restaurant. Like, we had no business doing that. So it hasn't always been confidence in a good way. Sometimes that confidence has gotten me in trouble because I haven't really assessed the situation the way I should have. And it's taught me a lot now. I'm a lot more calculated now. I look at different things. I have a lot more credibility. But yes, confidence 100% has been a part of the formula. It really is a part of my DNA. But I wake up every day also with the mindset that, what am I going to do today that's going to make a difference? Am I going to inspire someone to remind them that they can do it? they just have to get very clear on their dreams. And, you know, I'm not here to motivate you and pep you up every single day. You got to find that from within. You know, there's days where we're dark and we're lonely and I cry myself to sleep sometimes. I put too much pressure on myself. But then I go back to that reason and that purpose that I know I was destined to do something bigger. And listen, I'm not all things real estate. Real estate is what I do for a living, but it's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to hopefully help other people know that if I could do this, anybody could do this if they really find within who they are. You know, to your question, yes, confidence is definitely important, but you know, I think it's my heart. Like I'm so clear with what I want and who I am, that I think that's why I kind of come across unstoppable, or if you push me down and knock me down, I'm just gonna get back up. That's just what I do.
For those that maybe don't have clarity on their purpose and the clarity that you have, you know, right? Because I mean, it's not just clarity, it's full conviction, you know, right? Which is so powerful because it's like motivation pushes you, which you can only be pushed so far, where when you have that conviction, you're pulled. You know, and it's like a rocket ship that enters the atmosphere. At some point, once it starts getting pulled through the atmosphere, it drops the engines altogether. So you're no longer relying on motivation. And when you're pulled to something, man, momentum happens. It's such a powerful thing to be in. For those that have a lack of that clarity or conviction, like what recommendations would you give for them to be able to tap into it?
You know, I'm really into just this whole high vibe manifestation. And oftentimes, like, I thought I knew what I wanted, but it took a moment of surrendering. It took a moment of me just really just letting go, getting really clear in my thoughts as to why am I doing the things I do, right? Why am I? So I was on stage, I had ego, I had all this stuff, but I didn't really understand what the purpose was. And I was living in a dark space of just doing, right? And I just realized I didn't just want to do things to do them. I wanted to have a bigger purpose. So I think you just have to get very clear. You can do it anyway, whether you journal, whether you manifest, whether you meditate, whether you go to a guru, whether you go to a therapist. I think I've done it all because I knew I was seeking something deeper. I was no longer fulfilled with selling 80 million or 100 million a year. It was deeper. Then I got clear. I wanted to grow leaders. I wanted to be around leaders. I wanted to build a foundation. I wanted to inspire young people. I am okay with career fulfillment when I see other people win, even if I make a little bit less money. So for me, it's the career fulfillment that I was on a journey to do that wasn't defined by what my brokerage told me I was supposed to do or what the KPIs told me I was supposed to do. It was more, will I walk in that door and I be happy? Will I be around people that I love and like rather than just have them on my roster because they're just another body? You can't come into my world if you don't bring me fulfillment anymore. I'm clear on that because I've lived as a hostage before in a life where it was ambiguous. And that was my own prison, was being someone that I was not to fulfill other people. So I started getting really clear and that I wasn't living my true purpose because I was holding back because the people around me, I was too extra for them. I was too much. I was that crazy person dancing alone. And, you know, everybody was like, who's that person? And when I say that, there's a beautiful leadership video where you see the crazy guy dancing alone. And then all of a sudden the first follower comes. It takes a lot more courage to be the first follower. And then the second follower and the third follower, next, you know, it becomes a community. Like, that's what I want to be a part of, something big or massive. And it got clear with me. And some people may not understand that. They might see that's some general theory shit, but that's for me what career fulfillment is, what clarity means for me, what the life I live, how I want my kids to see me. And that's just who I am.
Yeah, love it, love it. So then when you said journaling or you know, meditating on this stuff, when they're doing that, when they're journaling, if something's giving them fulfillment, like what is that feeling going to be like? Is it something that like, hey, when you feel energized, right? That's when you know you're onto something, or when something truly excites you, you know, right? How do you know to tap into, like when you were journaling, going through, hey, selling 100 million year over year just isn't doing it for me anymore. You know, right? I need more. Like, how did you identify what those things were, just from an internal feeling standpoint?
So I've done it a couple of cheesy different ways. I've written letters to myself and mailed it to myself a year later. I have in my journaling, what I do, we do a little practice of, we're already writing to ourselves and writing to the universe and God and saying, thank you for how this went, like the success of it. It hasn't even happened yet, but in our mind it has, you know, hey, thank you for helping me speak at my TED Talk. And I loved how the crowd embraced it and loved my story. I loved how I touched lives. This hasn't happened yet, but I'm already giving gratitude for it already happening. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity, and just those emotions prior to things even happening. I'm already living the life that I believe I'm going to accomplish, and already giving gratitude for it happening. You know, giving gratitude also for the lessons that I've learned. So that's just how I personally have my breakthroughs. And it just literally puts you in a state of gratitude and already experiencing what it is to live that life. You're already imagining what success looks like, what happiness looks like, what financial freedom looks like. So that has helped me. And again, that's just me. Some people might think I'm crazy after this, but it works for me, because that's my space of just retreating internally with me and not letting the outer influences, block me or, you know, influence me to believe it's not possible. I try to live in a state of possibility. Everything's possible. Everything's figure-outable. Everything can be, as long as you're ready to receive it. So I had to get in a state of mind to receive all of this success and not say, oh my God, I would never be on a podcast with Joshua Smith. Oh my God, I would never say that. Now I'm like, you know, I'm at dinner with the CEO of Zillow. I'm at dinner with the CEO of this company. I'm at dinner with John Cheplack. I'm at dinner with, you know, people who I've always admired and loved. And it's because I already believed I deserved to be there. And that is what works for me. And I just say, do it however works for you, but believe in yourself first. That's the key.
Yeah, love it. And to those that, right, hear that and they're like, oh, that sounds woo-woo, whatever. It's, they haven't spent enough time studying the greats, right?
Oh,
You never study one great that in their mind, right? They became that. They were the Muhammad Ali, you know, right? He was the greatest on the planet in his mind. Of course, he pronounced it to the world before he was the greatest, you know, right? But it's something that all the greats have in common, right? That.
And here's the thing. I'm not afraid to get in the ring either. Like, you put me to dial, let's go. Dial. You want me to door knock, let's go do this. You want me to recruit. Who do I got to call? What do I got to do? See, the woo-woo-woos will just say, I'm just going to believe in good, but I'm not going to take action. You got to take action too. You know, like, that's the thing. I'm in the office. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to challenge. I'm going to probe. I'm going to grow. I'm willing to do things my team knows she's never going to ask us to do something she wouldn't do herself. And I will outwork. I don't need to sleep. I will do what I have to do to work the hardest in the room. I like to sleep. I just don't sleep a lot. But, you know, I'm on a plane today. I'm closing tomorrow. I'm recruiting people. I'm not even recruiting, touching and attracting people. And then I'm committed to their growth. So I have to deliver, because one thing is woo, woo, woo. The other thing is not delivering. And trust me, the 45 lives that depend on me, I have to deliver. It's more than woo, woo, woo. But I understand that I move them into productivity when we stop talking about KPIs and we start talking about their goals and how they have breakthroughs and their accountability and how we come from gratitude, because there are people out there who don't have the opportunities that we have, and we have been blessed. So it starts with that. And zero excuses, right? It's zero excuses, because we don't do excuses very well. So the woo 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 helps us, but the action makes it happen.
Yeah, love it. So then, you know, you're somebody is always taking the time to I don't know the best way to articulate this, but to be connected in the industry, you know, right? Like getting your involvement. I know right after this, you're going to meet with a local congressman, a congressman. You've been involved with NAR, NAREP, you know, all these different things, you know, and a lot of the most successful agents that I've met over the years have really tapped into that, right? And it's something that, I mean, most agents out there, and I haven't done a good job at it myself, you know, right? Like I haven't, I regret it. I should have done more, and I need to do more now today. But what power has that had on your business and long term, right? Because a lot of realtors might think, oh, I'm going to get involved with this NAR group or whatever. It's not bringing me more business. They're not thinking of long term. It's like one of my best friends in the industry is also a great friend and a great mentor of mine, Leo Pareja, right? Now owner of Remine. Like, dude, there's not a person in this industry that he can't get on the phone with the person that he needs to be in that room. Like, if I need to get in a room and I don't know how to get in that room, like, I just call Leo and he hooks me, you know, right? Like, he's so connected. And now, and for some time now, those relationships really paid off. They may have not known how those relationships were paying off in the beginning, right? But over time, those things can become power. How has it helped you, and what would you give advice for somebody that's an agent that's listening to this that isn't involved in the agent community, you know, to take those steps to get involved?
I think it's invaluable. I mean, what you're doing when you're giving back is that you're breeding a bigger legacy. And, you know, for NAREP, for example, I'm the vice president of my local chair. People look at me, they're like, you don't have time. How do you do this? I make the time because I care about it. Because I've met some agents who, they just care about their own deals. They don't care about giving back. You know, it's fine. And that's okay with them. But for me, again, going back to that purpose and that legacy I wanted to build, you know, I've made some of my best friends in this industry, but it's been because we take out the time to give back, to contribute to each other, to grow, and completely brand agnostic. Some of my best friends work for different brands. There's no agenda. We know we're committed to growing the lives and the careers of other people. NAREP has a NAREP 10. It talks about building wealth. It talks about being in your top 1%. It talks about being involved in government policy, having a voice in your industry, creating opportunities in education. All those things are important to me. So if I can't make the time for that, what am I doing as a leader in this industry? Am I just closing deals? There's not enough accolades, enough closings. I mean, I don't drive by that house that I sold and said, oh my God, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Maybe at the beginning I did, but now it's like, okay, it's my job. I did my job, but these organizations are helping me leave a legacy, you know, helping that agent understand that they have what it takes to be successful. Sharing my experiences with failing and growth and running our business like a business, not just a team, you know, talking about our P&Ls, talking about organizational charts, talking about if you start reinvesting in your business, what would that look like? So for me, it's bigger. I feel like I'm that, if you look at, like, you know, your fraternities or your big sisters, you know, and your sororities, it's like I'm giving back to the industry that I care so much about, that has helped change my life and shape my life for the good. I have a duty and a commitment to give back. You know, obviously sitting on Zillow's advisory board, I've been called a sellout. I've been called a lazy agent because I advertise on Zillow. I sit on Zillow's advisory board because I care about our industry and I have a voice to say, look, tech giants, you know, the people still matter. The agents still matter. I give back because I care. And Nick Shiver out in Portland said it best the other day at Inman when we were on stage. I had the privilege of interviewing him. He said, find something, if you don't know what your purpose is, find something that pisses you off or you have a chip on your shoulder over it, and start an organization, start a foundation, or do something. I mean, he has Sell a Home, Save a Child to fight against human trafficking. Like, that's deep. Like, those are the people that I'm sitting at the table with, just understand, like, I could do more. And that's why I give back to my local community, to an organization that I believe in, because I'll be honest with you also, there's not a lot of women in this industry who look like me, who sit at the tables that I sit at. And I have a duty to say, can I pull up another chair and let me invite a sister? Let me invite someone who looks like me, who also wants to make a difference so we can create more diversity. And I just think it's important that you get involved, because I promise you, it will help your career. You will meet people like the Leos, like the Joshes, you know, and you can then have those cell phone numbers in your cell phone and pick up the phone and call somebody. And, you know, of course, networking and referrals, and we get prestige, but really the biggest purpose is when you're seeing these people come up to you and say, thank you for giving back. You know, thank you for bringing John Cheplack to our NAREP event, who changed people's lives in that 2.5 hours. That's why I get involved, because I get more fulfillment in helping people in my industry. Again, real estate is what we do. It's not who we are. But you start connecting with people at the heart and really realizing that there are more husband and wife couples just like us who are in the real estate industry, maybe struggling with how to balance marriage. Let's do a seminar on that. You know, there's more people like me who maybe have made some bad decisions and came back up. So I just feel like giving back connects you to the people that are beyond just the accolades or the industry, your company awards ceremony. There's more to it.
Yeah, love it. So then, with being partnered with Zillow like you are, right? And the involvement they do. And, you talked about it just a moment ago when people were calling you a sellout. And I've gotten the same thing just because of my partnership with Open Door. And, I've had, the head of agent relations on the podcast, and, right. And I'm a fan of what they're doing, right? I'm a fan of the iBuyer system. Look, it's in my opinion, it's the iBuyer system wouldn't exist if we as an industry didn't fail the consumer, right? Like it's just like Uber popped up because taxi wasn't giving the consumer what they wanted, right? So there was a void that we weren't filling, right? And there's a way to leverage it and for us all to create success together. So with you being so involved, can you just speak to kind of those that maybe not know what Zillow's Instant Offers and iBuyer program is or how it operates, but also as real estate agents, look, like we're not going to go out there and Zillow's not going to go away, right? They're I don't know what their valuation is today, but if you get all Reology, Keller Williams from all together, Zillow's net worth is probably higher than all of them combined, right? They're the juggernaut, right? And I'll hear agents like, oh, well, if we just block them from getting MLS access, I'm like, well, then they just become their own real estate company, and right? Then they're competing against us. Where how it operates right now, we can work together, right? But a lot of agents, again, just have the right mindset on the shift. So before it was maybe a market crash, we had to get into REO. Now it's really just a new shift that the industry's seeing with the tech infusion. What are you seeing, and can you just give us more insight, because you're so much on the ground floor with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you just said, these industry giants are coming in because I believe that we had a lot of meat on the bones in our industry, and the service was subpar. I remember back in the day when a listing agent, you'd call them, they wouldn't answer. We would get calls from people saying, oh my God, you're the first agent who answered the phone. Or the agent was at the beach and said the house was pending and didn't give me any information. The consumer was left hanging. And I think that Zillow solved the problem for giving the consumer a better experience in connecting with real estate, with the real estate search, and then connecting with experts in the market. And obviously they've since then enhanced their programs to how they want to consider someone an expert, not just with the credit card, but, with proven production and proven customer reviews and et cetera. But what I found early on was this company is doing something right. They have given consumers a sense of trust that they can come here and start their search, start the home buying experience. And early on, I realized, oh, well, if they're connecting with consumers, maybe I need to be one of those agents that they connect with, because I truly believe that we do a great job. But I knew, I would look at this pie. I knew my referrals and my past clients were a great source of business. They were. But what about the other 70% of the world that I wasn't touching or talking to because they didn't know me, or I didn't have the resources or capability to reach them? Zillow answered that for me. So I started just, again, using my advertising dollars, and instead of sending out mailers, I started allocating based on the areas I wanted to be present, really worked on my profile, really worked on those things. Fast forward to where they're at now and what they're doing, they continue to evolve. They continue, the journey never ends for them, right? They want to be the market center for consumers and, the buying experience, and agents, the best agents. I just knew, like, wait a minute, they didn't come up with the iBuyers. They're just making their program better. They already have consumer eyeballs. They already have consumer attention. They already have agent attention. Well, this is a no-brainer for me because it's connecting me with another seller that I might have an opportunity to talk to and hopefully consult. Whether they decide to go the iBuyer route or they decide to go the traditional route, or I need to introduce another cash option for them, I'm their girl. Like, they need to talk to me. So this just made sense for me. But guess what? You can do it with Open Door. You can do it with other companies. You can do it with hedge funds. You can start your own iBuyer program. All you're doing is giving consumer options. So for me, when I hear agents like be so upset about it, I got very intentional. So this didn't happen overnight. And if you can probably tell, I nurture and I go deep with my relationships. I'm deep with my volunteering. I'm deep with the networking that I do. I'm deep with everything I do. So I was playing the long-term game with Zillow, not because I knew this was coming, but because I was like, they're evolving, we're evolving. You know, I'm masterminding and networking with the best agents across the country. This is, either way, it's good for me. My business is growing. I'm learning from others and from the other partners. So for me, it was just a win-win. When the iBuyer scene came on, I'll be honest with you, 2 years ago when I got to test it, I didn't even know what I was testing. I was like, okay, I said yes to something. And I was like, another program, right? But to be able to see that consumers were responding and consumers were now excited about an on-demand experience, it made me realize the game is changing. The game is really changing. Even then, I didn't grasp how big it was going to be, but I just always trust my intuition. I says, if this is happening, I'm all in. I want to know more about this. And I got intentional, started learning. We started practicing. You know, you practice the way you play, your skill sets on the phone. What do those conversations look like? What's the best follow-up for them? What's the best nurture process for someone who might raise their hand, but they're not ready just yet? Are we mailing them something? Are we dropping something off? What are we doing to make sure we stay in front of them? Because it's still a person. And oftentimes the click of a button isn't going to be the final relationship opportunity. So for us, you know, it was deep. It was something that we really realized was going to change the game. And we wanted to be at the forefront of it. And I think that any agent wanting to get involved in it just needs to surround them. I mean, look around their market, see what's happening around them, surround themselves by the movers and shakers in their market, and really start getting curious as to how they can get involved. You know, whether I think at one point Open Door was allowing agents to do open houses, you know, and then they have they have a referral program now. I know HomeLight, you've got HomeLight, you've got all these different portals out there that they now have consumer eyeballs. As an agent, I simply wanted to look at them, and I said this to you earlier, as an acquisition partner, another acquisition partner that I could align myself with so that I can get in front of more buyers and sellers. So my problem with the industry is that these agents want to dictate and demand how we get paid and the way business should be ran, but really it should be how do consumers want to do business. And that's what I'm giddy about. How do consumers want to do business? I'm not worried about being put out of business because I'm not going to be put out of business. I know how to pivot, I know how to work, and I know how to reinvent myself over and over again. I simply care about the consumer because it's the consumer who has kept me in business because they like me, they trust me, and they know I deliver results. So I think for any agent out there, just like an asset manager, a hedge fund, a, you know, iBuyer company, you have to show your value and that you're willing to adapt and play in the same sandbox. And I think there's opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, love it, love it. So then, out of curiosity, in your market, what is the percentage? You know, like here with Open Door, it's roughly about 15% that we present Open Door's offer to that may take it, right? But then when you look at that, we got 85%, like having that option might get us to the table that we wouldn't have been at the table before we were able to offer them all these options, you know, right? And then you got 85% that are looking to go the traditional route or whatever that may be. What does that shake out to be in your market?
It's still pretty new in our market. We're not even close to being able to spit out those numbers yet, but okay. I just say it's been an overwhelming response. It's been amazing. Closed a couple properties, more than a couple, and the consumers are responding. I mean, they're really, really, I've been on some of these conversations. I'm very impressed with how, you know, you got these people, that's what they are. They're people telling you their story as to why this works for them. And you just start listening and start saying, okay, you know what? This is no longer about me. This is about the other person on the other line. And we just want to help them. And if this is the option they choose to opt for, then who am I to say that it's wrong? Who am I to tell them they're, you know, like I think there was a guy saying, oh my God, you know, why are people leaving money on the table? It's not about leaving money on the table. It's about the convenience, I'll pay for Uber Black all day long. And of course, we're not comparing that to the most expensive investment that people will make in their life. Their home is more than just a car ride. I get that. But consumers are choosing based on their scenario, based on their personal life position. And that's what we care about. Like, what are your options? And we're in a consumer era that they're very smart. They know what they're doing. They've done their research. So a lot of people say, I must save the consumer. I must tell them and educate them. We are in an information age era. The information is there. When they're ready to transact and have some of these conversations, they know what they're coming into. They know some of them are gonna, you know, have to take a reduced, let's say, pay some additional fees. But it's, again, they're going to evaluate it, make the decision that's best for them.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it with my own personal situation, 3 young kids, I've got 2 dogs. One of my dogs, 15 years old, like he's, not getting around well. The pain of having to get our house ready, keep it ready each and every day, put it on the market. Like, dude, I would take 20,000 less just to not have to go through that inconvenience and put my family through that. I'd take 20 grand less all day long. That just for the convenience factor and the speed factor, it's well worth it to me to sacrifice that little bit of equity.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. It's usually about the convenience and the speed and the no hassle. And like, again, we sell real estate for a living, and I love the traditional route as well. But for some people, it just doesn't make sense. And I remember when I put my house on the market that we were thinking about it, it was a lot of work with 3 dogs. It was like, oh my God, my dogs, where am I going to put them? You put yourself in the opposite position and you're like, it's stressful. But yeah, I mean, but I chose to do it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to just play a little small part in real estate history, and hopefully see more agents find success with these models, should they embrace it.
I'm reading a book right now that was recommended by one of my mentors, called Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. I don't know if you've read it, but it's an epic book. Well, I'm only about 3 chapters in, but it's epic so far. But in there, they talk about like there's 2 mindsets that people operate from. You have the learner mindset and then the judger mindset. Yeah, right. The judger mindset would be the people that automatically think Zillow is here to take over, eliminate the agent. That's the learner mindset, is the person that's getting curious, right? That's not, making false judgments or just judgments at all. It's just, it's interesting. Let me learn more about it. How can we leverage this? How can we scale this? And from a whole conversation, you are somebody that operates very much from the learner mindset state, right? Not getting yourself into that judgment. And that allows you to see these opportunities. I don't know if you can kind of speak to that curiosity, if it was always that way, right? But not to allow yourself to just shut things down and really become a, cynical skeptic, if you will, right? But being open-minded.
Yeah, I think I've always been that way. I've always been curious. I remember even when I was in college, I wasn't the smartest girl in school, but I was always curious. I've always been curious. I have a degree in human resources, but my minor's in accounting, just because I was curious. It wasn't because I had a passion for accounting, when I did REOs and I did everything, like I was the one building the relationships, but I'm curious, how do we build the systems, and how do we do, all right, I was doing 50 BPOs because I was curious, and I love to learn it so then I can scale and teach it to other people. And really a lot of times is people will tell me that's hard. I'm like, oh yeah, it's hard. Let me see. Let me figure out how hard this is. I do. And then I was like, oh, we just have to find the right person and the right personality that's going to love doing this. So, when I build my team and my operations, the different people, I'll go through the experience so that I can find the right personality who can be better at me in that. And I just inspire them to do great. And I'm like, okay, you're better than me in that. So I'm uberly curious. I don't think I can do it all, but I know I can figure it out. I can figure it out because I'm a connector of people. And if someone tells me, hey, Veronica, we're thinking about this opportunity, the answer is always yes, because we can figure out how to do it, so long as it makes sense, right? So I've always been uberly curious. I will always remain uberly curious. And when I'm told I can't do something, I'm like, let me figure that out on my own. And if not, I'm going to find the person to do it, because that's just how I operate. It's kind of like a curse as well.
No, I love it. So I know you got a hard stop in about 5 minutes. So just one last question for you. Knowing everything that you know now today, if you could go back to, the Veronica back in 2004, when you first started this full-time journey, and give yourself 2 pieces of advice that you feel would just fast forward your trajectory to success, again, knowing what you know now today, what would those 2 pieces of advice look like?
I think one of them, and I said this recently, was let go of some of those relationships that are holding you back from greatness. I would keep on nurturing relationships that I knew just weren't growing, because my growth was intimidating to them. My growth was really scary in their eyes. And actually I held on to them too long, and I did them a disservice, and I did myself a disservice. So if I could go back and tell myself anything, is like, when you know it's not working, it's time to just be a better person, free that person up to their future. Maybe there would have been some saved friendships. Maybe there would have been some saved heartaches. And, I learned a lot about myself. And now, instead of judging them, I don't even judge myself. I just realized I had to learn about myself. And although I'm very confident, it takes a lot of courage to, I would say not necessarily let someone go, but have that uncomfortable conversation that it's just not working. And I lost a lot of money. But most importantly, I lost a lot of friends as a result of that. And as I grew as a leader now, I'm very clear as to who I am. And hey, if it's not working, it's not working. It's okay if our lives are going opposite directions. This is my dream. It doesn't have to be your dream. And that's one of the things I would say to myself. And I've forgiven myself for it. But I definitely would say, for the better of the business, for the better of my friendships, preserving and just accepting that we all play a purpose in each other's lives. And sometimes it means time to hop off the bus so we can keep on moving. That's one. And then the other is, real estate is what we do, but it's not who we are. And I, for a long time, gave this career everything. And at one point, I almost lost my life because I stopped taking care of myself. I had gained almost 100 pounds. And when I was 35 years old, 34 years old, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, never again. You have to take care of yourself first, because what does all this mean if, you're not healthy, you're not eating right, you're not resting, you're not taking time off. And, this industry can burn you out. And I would have told my younger self to make sure you take care of yourself, because that's the key to making sure you can help others by first being healthy you. So those are my two things that I would tell the younger Veronica.
Yeah, love it. Such powerful words. And for those that want to follow you, your content, maybe get in touch with you. I know that you speak all over. You coach real estate agents and entrepreneurs. Where's the best place to learn more about you, to get in touch with you, learn about your coaching, learn where you might be speaking, to be able to follow you?
Absolutely. They can go to veronicafigueroa.com or veronicafigueroa.work, and you can reach out to me. You can hop on my Calendly. We can spend some time talking, chatting it up, or you can find us on Facebook as well, Veronica Figueroa Inspires, and would love to connect with you guys. I'm a huge fan of the GSD Mode network, so let's get shit done.
Yeah, love it, love it. So those that are watching and listening, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation truly is just the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information and taking action on it. And as you learned about Veronica today, she's somebody that takes massive action, which has allowed her to go out there and create all this success. So make sure to take massive action on one of the amazing things. Veronica shared so many amazing things with us today. You go out there and take action, so then you can go out there and create the power in your world for you to go out there and create the life you want and deserve. And right below, wherever you're watching and listening, we're going to have all of those links right below, so you can get in touch with Veronica. You can follow our content, see if she's speaking in your area soon, all of that fun stuff. So Veronica, I know you're extremely busy, and I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. This has been a lot of fun and a huge honor.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Josh. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, 100%. All right, you guys, thank you for watching. Listen, we'll see you next time. Peace. Hope you enjoyed this GSD Mode podcast episode. Now make sure you get shit done and smash that subscribe button now.